Good evening and welcome to the Gold, Goats, and Guns Hour here on YouTube and Periscope. My name is Tom Luongo. It is Monday, October 22nd, 2018. Got a lot to talk about tonight. But I don't know that I have it in me to talk all that heavily tonight. I'm pretty tired. It's been a long day. Worked on a big blog post this morning. Worked on another video earlier in the day. A lot of stuff going on around here. Unloading firewood. Getting ready for winter, that kind of thing. But that said, let's do the show. All right. The title of this talk tonight is Trump's latest problems, from caravans to missile treaties. Pretty much should say everything you need to know. The caravan is an obvious ploy by Tom Steyer, George Soros, the Democrats, Obamaites, Central American governments and their pay, the whole nine yards, in order to make this an issue coming into the midterm elections. Trump has a couple of options here. And they are, well, one of them is what he noted this morning, which is to declare this a national emergency, which now allows him to bring out the National Guard and everything else. And the second thing is to cut off the foreign aid. And I don't think what people don't quite understand about his threat to Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador is that when you cut off the foreign aid, that means you cut off all the money that Soros and Steyer and them are getting via the federal government. Because remember, we have foreign aid. This goes to NGOs. It just goes out through bureaucrats, gets appointed, and this gets sent out to NGOs. It's where it goes. It's what happens. It's nothing like magical about this. And who do you think those NGOs are? It's all a big slush fund. Foreign aid is all a big slush fund for the very people trying to destroy this country and to try and destroy Western civilization. So that threat was a big one. Because, hey, if Soros wants to destroy America, he can stop using taxpayer money. Let's try that again. If Soros wants to destroy America, he can stop using taxpayer money to do so. Right, they all get billions of dollars. You cut that money off, hey, that money looks good in my pocket. This is money the federal government does not need to be spending in Honduras. Sorry, it just doesn't. All you libs out there that want to intervene around the world, and I mean this, I mean lib as in non-libertarian. All you non-libertarians out there who want to help the world, go ahead and do so. There's Sally Struthers, there's all the friggin' charities around the world. Give to them. Stop making me do it. I mean, I'm at that point, okay? And then on top of that, to then turn around and say, we have to then let these people in after we've given them billions of dollars. And yeah, our foreign policy displaces them and kills some of them and the rest of it. That's terrible. I want to get rid of that too. I'm on the side of both of those things. Hey, let's get rid of the foreign aid. Hey, and let's get rid of the foreign interventionism as well. Let's stop intervening militarily, politically, diplomatically, and economically. Let's do it all. Let's go for the quadfecta here. That would be awesome. Because I don't just want to make America great again. I want to make the whole freaking world great again. And you do that by depowering the rentier classes. You do that by taking free money away from billionaires like Soros and Steyer who have an agenda and are using my own money to destroy my community. I have two words for that. Fuck that. Fuck that. Tired of it. So Trump coming out today and saying that is brilliant. It's good. It's not great. Send the army of the National Guard down there, defend the border, be done with it. Because this whole thing is nothing but a photo op. It's all bullshit. They're not walking from Honduras and El Salvador. If they did, they won't be here until freaking January. They're taking buses and cars and trucks and they're getting packed 17 deep into friggin' sedans. Do you see anybody with backpacks full of food? Do you see water? Do you see bedrolls? Where the fuck are these people staying at night? A Holiday Inn Express? 2 of these come through every friggin' year in order to make it a political issue every year. This has been going on since early in the Obama administration. And I'm done with it. And Trump needs to absolutely put the hammer down here before the midterms. Otherwise, he's going to lose the base. I mean, I want tax cuts. I like tax cuts. Tax cuts are fantastic. It's like the original sin of government is freaking property taxes. Everything bad stems from that. Then we got to get rid of the Federal Reserve. We got to do all sorts of other things. But let's start with the basic stuff. Can you guys at least defend the fucking border? Because until you get rid of the welfare state, until you get rid of the warfare state, I don't want open borders. Period. I want private property. Private property will, by definition, stop invasion. It's public property that imports crime to your neighborhoods. Criminals are given thoroughfares, huge, wide, beautifully lit, paved thoroughfares right to your home. Metaphorically speaking, doesn't matter if that public property is a big highway across Mexico or the access road to your neighborhood that your city government demands be up to grade to get their ambulances into, even if you don't want their ambulance service. This is where me and a lot of people, like, this is where the rubber meets the road. I'm a big Hoppian when it comes to this stuff. When it comes to private property, it comes to borders. Because the borders to outer Luangolia are guarded with guns and dogs. That's all I can protect. I'm actually waiting to get doxxed, to be honest with you. I had nothing I really wanted to talk about tonight, and now all of a sudden I'm angry. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm almost expecting someday to get doxxed. It's starting to happen. I'm starting to get trolls comment on my blog. It's starting to happen. It's very obvious it's starting to happen. But they don't realize that I don't live on a public street. When they find out where I live, it's going to be Katie bar the door. So, all y'all, if you're thinking about doxing me, I got news for you. I own guns. It is absolutely a designed thing. And this is going back, there's plenty of stuff that's been written about this for a long, long time. And I know that we were probably down a few people tonight because Trump's holding a massive rally down in Texas and you can't compete with Trump. And that's fine. Because we're only looking at 20 people right now. That's fine. I don't really have anything interesting to say tonight anyway, other than, me ranting about, I'm just like waiting. I'd love to see Antifa come to my house. Proud Boys ain't got nothing over on me, boy. And you're on private property. But this whole thing is absolutely a complete photo op, psyop, whatever you want to call it. It's a complete operation. It was designed from the ground up with cooperation from functionaries in the American government, the bureaucracy level, the Honduran government, Obama, and all of them. This is Obama, Steyer, the rest of them. This has been going on for years, guys. This is nothing new. But they're bringing it up now because they're trying to move the needle before the midterm elections. Well, good luck to them, to be honest with you. Good luck. Same thing with, because it's just, I just don't see it happening. All right. Early reports on early voting numbers coming back are all in every place where there are that matters, every battleground state effectively. The numbers for the GOP are insane. They're insanely good. Far better than they were in 2016. And this is the midterms. Turnout's supposed to be a lot lower. People aren't supposed to give a shit about the midterms. Yeah, the thing about it is Green Penguin, is this the reporting on this goes back to like 2010 when the first one of these started. I read a couple of really great articles about it. I can't remember where I saw them off the top of my head. I read so much, and I don't bookmark everything I read because I'm not particularly great at this stuff. Believe it or not. I mostly just try to remind myself about. I try to keep it all in my head as opposed to actually using like EndNotes or Evernote or some shit like normal people would. No, I just rely on my memory, faulty as it is. I did not watch the Florida gubernatorial debate. I could give a shit. I don't care. I don't think Gillum's going to win, and that's that. Bruce Alexi, he voted today. Good for you. I'm not going to... I haven't watched the Florida gubernatorial debate in the 30 years I've lived in Florida. Why would I watch Ron DeSantis, who I don't really have all that much enthusiasm for, and Andrew Gillum, who I have less than zero enthusiasm for? Why would I watch these two, like, not answer questions? Are you kidding me? I'm not that much of a Politico. Jesus. I watched the Trump Clinton debates I only watched the Trump Clinton debates through InfoWars, so that there was Alex Jones providing play-by-play commentary, because that shit was high comedy. So otherwise, it's listening to politicians talk just makes my skin crawl. I don't give a shit who it is. So, Mega Millions, 1.6 billion. Yeah, you change the rules, you make it nearly impossible to win. Of course the pot's going to be enormous. I know a lot of people are worried about what's going on with Trump and switching gears, Trump and ending the INF treaty. Now, I don't know if many of you know, but John Bolton is in Moscow right now. National Security Advisor John Bolton is in Moscow right now. And today he should have met with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. He may meet with Putin. We'll see. Putin hasn't decided whether or not he wants to talk to Bolton or not yet. Just smart. Because ultimately, he's just Trump's national security advisor. He's really actually nobody important. Unfortunately, he's also studying policy. But it's been Bolton who wants to get us out of every treaty we have because, John Bolton doesn't believe in one of the three basic constitutional roles of government, of the federal government, which is to arbitrate between the states, negotiate peace treaties, and name national monuments. That's about it. Everything else is unconstitutional. So Bolton's in Moscow now negotiating with Sergei Lavrov. And the INF treaty is something that both sides in some ways would like to get out of. I was talking about this with Garland and Lee Stranahan this morning, Garland Nixon and Lee Stranahan this morning on Fault Lines. And they brought this up, that both countries feel hamstrung in a way by the treaty now that there are other countries developing medium-range ballistic missiles, which is a fair point. And both countries violate the treaty left and right anyway, so what's the point of keeping the treaty around? So, when I think about this, my initial reaction was terrible, but then I stopped and I thought about it for a little while, and I'm like, well, somebody brought up China, and I thought about that. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So the real question here is what's going on with Bolton and Lavrov? Because Putin is incredibly angry, and still is, about our unilateral abrogation of the ABM treaty back in 2003. with good reason. So if we're talking about ditching the current treaty in order to bring China and other countries into a broader based treaty, well, then that's fine. And it just looks like it's the warmongering John Bolton trying to whisper Iago like in Trump's ear that he can win a nuclear war with the Russians. Trump doesn't want a nuclear war with the Russians. And I want everybody to I want to remind everybody of this. Neither James Mattis nor Donald Trump are going to do anything to get us involved in a nuclear war with Russia. Every other fucking asshole in the American government and the American deep state and the British MI6 and the Israeli Mossad will do so, but not those two guys. Okay? That I absolutely believe. So I'm reading all of your comments on this, and I know you're all got tremendous opinions on it, and you've also got a lot to say, which is all great. And I'm not ignoring you, just so you know. We're still in the early portion of the stream. I just want to get my thoughts down, and I'm going to respond to a lot of this kind of organically. I just don't think that either Mattis or Trump are going to do anything to get us into a nuclear conflict with Russia. Everybody else? Absolutely. I also believe that the more I think about what's been happening, that Trump wants some leverage over the Russians. And he doesn't have any. Putin made this abundantly clear over the weekend. The article I wrote on Friday, which I didn't even think was all that good, went freaking ballistic all over the internet, which is fine, fantastic. I'm all over it. This blog's done 20,000 hits in the last 4 days. Fantastic. I'm not arguing. Picked up 20 patrons over the weekend. Ecstatic. I didn't think it was a particularly good article, but hey, you know, if it works for y'all, great. I'll write more shit like that because that stuff was easy. But what was important about all of Putin's statements out of Valdai over the weekend was that he made it abundantly clear. It's like, look, neoconservative jackasses, you're going to lose. If you think you can win a nuclear war with Russia, I have 2 words for you. You can't. No one wins in nuclear weapons. No one wins in nuclear war. No matter how close you put your Aegis Ashore systems and your Patriot missile, the closer you put them to Russia so that you can launch a first strike, doesn't matter. We've got weapons that can hit all of the United States from anywhere on the planet. We have literal nuclear-powered cruise missiles that circle around and can drop on you from anywhere at any time. And one of them is labeled Bill Kristol. The other one's labeled John Bolton. I hope Lavrov is telling you, we have one named John Bolton. We have an avant-garde missile named John Bolton. And if you start any fucking shit with us, then we're going to nuke you. Not Washington, not New York, not Chicago, not San Francisco. Fuck you, asshole. That's who we're going to nuke. And that's what needs to be said. But Trump is desperate for leverage. Donald Trump is not a deep thinker. He's a negotiator. He's a deal maker. And his mode of operation is always, where can I get leverage in order to make a deal that I want to make? And if he doesn't have leverage, then he looks for it. And if someone gives him cheap leverage, he'll use it. Sanctions? Yes. Tariffs? Sure. Get rid of a treaty? Sure. And so that's why things are the way they are right now. That's why Bolton is able to float this idea and then throw it at the Russians, who don't want this. Like now, all of a sudden, you want to negotiate arms reductions. We've all been yelling at you for 15 years. So if the United States is using this as a ploy to negotiate, guess what? The United States is losing because the United States never negotiates when it's winning. It dictates when it's winning. It's the empire. Empires don't negotiate. Empires dictate. Spooks start civil wars, militaries end them. That's why I don't really worry about the CIA playing their freaking reindeer games, because at the end of the day, Trump's got the military on his side. You lose. Spooks can't win a civil war. They can only start one. They can only start a regime change, but they can't actually finish what they start. Oh, they can get regime change, but then the whole thing turns into a shit show. So we have no position on the world stage anymore. And this is well before Trump, going to what Joanne Leon was saying earlier in the comments. We don't have any position anymore. No one will make an agreement with us that matters. Trump is not helping the situation by getting rid of every treaty or every agreement that he doesn't like. He's not helping the situation. But that reputation was gone ages ago. And so what we're going to find out is just how much John Bolton is running things, running foreign policy. And I really do think that And I really do think that it's going to work out. And I've lost my train of thought a little bit. So don't, this happens every once in a while, and I'm sorry. On the verge of a major point, and then I really do think that Trump is going to gain control of his foreign policy after the midterms. I'm convinced he fired Nikki Haley. I'm convinced he's tired of the shenanigans in Syria. I know he's tired of the shenanigans with Soros and Steyer and the deep state and Goldman Sachs and the rest of them. I know he's tired of all this stuff. And I know that he had an idea in his head about what a grand bargain in the Middle East would look like. And it was pretty simple. It was pretty straightforward. He was telling everybody what he thought. He'll guarantee Saudi Arabia and Iran and Israel. Russia will guarantee Hezbollah and Iran. Syria will remain free and relatively open, and that'll be the end of it. And we'll all pull out and let's negotiate the details from there. MMA Port, I will get to your question in a couple of minutes. But the reality is that if things are more complicated than that. Because he's got deeper traitors within the organization, within the administration, and within the government, and within the media and everything else. He's got deeper problems than that. So he may have to cut the Saudis loose at some point. The Saudis may not survive any of this. Joanne, you asked the most salient question of the week. What triggered this backlash against MBS? An October surprise? Well, for what reason? What's the goal? Was MBS making a deal about Syria our Hawks and the Israeli Hawks didn't like? Possibly. I think it goes deeper than that. I think MBS wasn't pretty obvious. You get rid of MBS, you put NAF back in charge. And having them hold up the petrodollar for the next few years while we ramp up our energy. Brennan has been on TV all week talking about how Nayef would never do these bad things. Exactly. He was all over cable news for a week saying how this was obvious a ploy from MBS. From the moment it's to benefit from a wedge being driven between Trump and Mohammed bin Salman. And notice how the Saudi king isn't talking about putting Nayef back in charge. He's not listening to this bullshit. If he has to set bin Salman aside, he'll bring the new kid, what, Khalif? And he'll make him crown prince. He was only 28. Note also how okay. Poor choice of phrase, DTF. Fingering Hillary. Really poor choice of phrase. Ow. Rocket Man mentions that Russia seems to be using the same method the U.S. used against the Soviet Union of pursuing advanced nuclear technology while we push more money into the military budget. Yeah. Who will take over the Democratic Party when the Clintons are gone? It's right now. It's always been it's always been a fight between Clinton and Obama, right? I don't know that Obama actually wants it at this point. I don't know what's going to happen with the Democrats. I think the Democrats are going to split and they're going to become irrelevant. MMA asked earlier a very important question. In your opinion, how will the Middle East look after Syria took back all of its territory and we don't attack Iran, but sort of break up with the Saudis? There's a lot of assumptions in that question, all of which I'd like to see happen. Us break up with the Saudis, not attack Iran, Syria regain its territorial integrity. I think you answer your own question by stating those parameters. Israel's already been put behind a wall, been told to shut up and sit down. Barking dog. That's enough. Stop barking. Yip dog. Right? Big Lebowski reference. Right? Israel is that if Walter represents the United States, then the Jewish wife's dog, ex-wife's dog, represents Israel. How does Bolton continue to get a job? He's horrible. Yeah, because I don't know, man. I don't know what John Bolton is doing in there other than Trump trusts him as a patriot first and everything else second. And that I do believe about John Bolton. I just disagree with his definition of patriotism. That's the problem. Fundamental problem. So MG Stoyanovich asks, do you think that Trump if I read this correctly, that Trump hung the weapons treaty on Bolton to either succeed or get out of it? It seems that Trump likes to delegate and let him run the project. And if he succeeds, well, great. And if he fails, then Bolton is done. I don't know about that, but it's very possible that it's something along those lines. Again, I think the INF treaty is something that Trump sees as a means by which to get leverage. We get rid of that treaty. We can have some leverage over the Russians. We can piss them off a little bit. We can get them to come to, we can get him to come together, come to the bargaining table and come up with something. But the problem is that the Russians aren't going to come to the bargaining table until we put something substantive on the table, period. Because we're not agreement capable. Remember? Yeah, there's something going on with Israel and Jordan over that leased land. We'll see what happens. I saw that the other day and I went, that's interesting. And it was Jordan that started started it. They're the ones that revoked the lease. Yes, Bolton is absolutely one of the deepest of deep state actors around 9/11, and the rest of it, he's absolutely, in every way, manner, shape, or form, useless. And it's a sad and scary thing that guy is still on the scene politically. And the only thing I can think of is that, I don't know. I just think that Donald Trump is not that deep. You're asking the wrong guy as to whether the FISA documents will ever get declassified or not. I have no idea. I know that Trump likes to scare people, but then he doesn't have the balls to actually follow through with things. He brings things up, right? Let's declassify all the stuff surrounding Kennedy's assassination. Let's spook the spooks a little bit, but then he backs off. Because, at some point after the midterms, Donald Trump has to stop caring about being liked by people. And he has to just go and do shit and get shit done. What motivates Trump to hire these people? Well, a lot of it is what he thinks he can get away with. A lot of it is what he can get away with. And some of it is getting bad advice from people around him. He is a delegator. He is a CEO at the end of the day. And he's an instinctual guy that makes a call. And if somebody comes with good recommendations to him and good pedigree, he's probably going to, okay, let's go with that. Let's try that. If it doesn't work, I'll fire him. Does the timing of the pullout endanger medium-term election support for Trump and moderate voters? No. Because most people don't even give a shit. The only ones who care are people like the people in the stream. Come on, let's not kid ourselves. The most dangerous people on the planet are those who can't accept that empires aren't sustainably. Most recently, our empire, Bolton is one of them. Oh, absolutely. That's the real problem here, is they cannot get over the fact that they have lost, that their policies don't work, that their goals are insane. Will asks who do I think will take Sessions' spot, especially if they sweep the midterms. There's a number of candidates. Trey Gowdy stepped down so that he could become AG. I don't know that I like Trey Gowdy, but if there's a significant upside, like real majority in the Senate, then we could see somebody substantial. But again, this is not my area of expertise. I'll just spitball something here and say that it's very possible that we'll get somebody sincerely better than Sessions. And that if Trump's got 57, 58 seats in the Senate, he can afford to throw one or two away on cabinet appointments. You can throw Rand Paul, you can move Rand Paul up to vice president in 2020, right? For example, you could move Devin Nunes up to AG, for example. So, that's the best part about that kind of majority. It's not that it's not that we could, he couldn't get a better, with that level of majority, he can get whoever he wants. He can push through whatever Supreme Court justices he wants. He can push through whatever cabinet. He can fire half of his cabinet that he doesn't like. Rocket Man, I know you're worried about the midterms. Stop it. There's not a fucking chance in hell LP candidates will do anything in this election other than sniff their own fucking navels. They haven't done so in 20 years. They're not going to do so anytime soon. Every 2 hours, it's another angle on the midterms. Stop it. In 2 weeks, we'll know. Move on with it. There's nothing else we can do at this point. It's out of our control. Unless you're going to go start going with fucking canvassing, there's nothing you can do. What are Bolton and Putin talking about on Moscow? Did I miss that part already? I talked about it earlier. I didn't really talk about it in depth. I just think that Bolton's going to get an earful from both Lavrov, and if Putin decides he wants to actually talk to Bolton, from Putin as well. I'm like, who the fuck are you to say you're going to get rid of the INF treaty because you think we violate it? You people haven't kept an agreement with the Russians in 30 years. Why don't you pull some freaking missiles off of our borders, you motherfuckers, and we'll actually talk about arms reduction. Why don't you get the fuck out of my office? Which is exactly what Putin should tell him, but Putin's too much of a gentleman to do that. That's what I would tell him. The Washington Times is a GOP house organ. And they will always do that to marginalize the libertarians. The libertarians were co-opted 15 years ago by the Koch brothers and the Republican GOP establishment. It's why I'm no longer a member of the LP. All you got to know. Oh, no, not Chris Christie. No, please, no. No, please, no. He's loyal to Trump, but he's an idiot. And Chris Christie was one of the first guys to jump on the Trump bandwagon and is so compromisable that Trump wouldn't even put him in his cabinet originally. I mean, and Trump was looking for loyal people. We should start a... John Bolton is insane, and he needs to get laid to finally relax. We should start a GoFundMe for his brothel ticket. Be good. Something, anything. Remember that all these people are commies. All of them. They're all commies. They're all Comintern at some level. Gowdy has asked on Fox if he could be the next AG. He said he'd never get confirmed. Bullshit. 58-seat Republican majority. They can nominate a ham sandwich for AG, for Christ's sake. It'd be better than Jeff Sessions. I don't know. I never really thought about Christie from that perspective. User 13 brings up that there's an interesting angle with Jared Kushner and that he'd be helpful getting the Zionists out of the administration. Maybe. So, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about Christie from that perspective, but the less I think about Chris Christie, the happier I am. It's a curse of being me. I don't really like to not think about retards all that often. All right. Gowdy is controlled oppo. Rocket Man. The problem with the LP is they don't go after safe GOP states like Idaho or Wyoming. They annihilate what's little is left of the Democrats and become the second largest party. Exactly. They are owned and operated by the Koch brothers and the GOPE to be a gadfly and to split the Republican vote in swing states. That's the whole point. You knew this about Gary Johnson. It's why Gary Johnson was running in places, campaigning in places like New Mexico and Nevada and Colorado. Like, what the fuck are you doing there? Go to Idaho, for Christ's sake. Go get 30% of the vote and let Hillary get nothing. Dude, seriously. Build a party. He didn't build a party. Dude, that guy took money from fucking Hillary. I'm dead convinced of it. Right. Christie put Kushner's dad in prison. I forgot all about that. Is the Khashoggi death a good thing or bad thing for Trump? It's not good. but I don't think it's going to hurt him in the end. I don't think anybody really cares. Ultimately, the people who care the most are the ones making the most noise. It's not moving the needle on the base. They already don't like the Saudis. So all it'll do is force, if anything, it'll force Trump to loosen his relationship up with the Saudis, which will be a good thing. And it will actually probably drive a conclusion in the Middle East quicker, because the Saudis and the Israelis won't feel, if they feel that their relationship with Trump is threatened, then they're going to have to sue for peace even that much faster, because they're not going to feel emboldened that Trump's got their back and will, and will excuse away whatever rotten nonsense they get up to this week. Which is the way MBS and Netanyahu have been acting since Trump came on the scene, which is one of the secondary and tertiary effects of Trump running his foreign policy the way he has. Which is why I've been so angry with him on foreign policy. A lot of people in the administration don't care about America. The problem. Look, we're going to know in 2 weeks whether we actually have the president we thought we elected in 2016, or a game show host. Because if he gets a freaking majority, both if he gets a real majority, if he holds a majority in the House and gets a real majority in the Senate, he will have no excuse but to hold on to these neocon dead enders who have done nothing but undermine him at every turn. That's where we are. And we can sit here and we can console ourselves and say, well, at least it's not Hillary, and at least he's entertaining. And that's good, but it's not what we hoped for. And it won't be enough to stave off the shit show that's coming. Because he won't be strong enough to shut down the opposition on the right while the left loses its freaking mind. Why can the Libertarian Party not grow up and become a real third party and break the duopoly? Because neither of the major parties have broken yet. And Trump broke the GOP from within, putting paid, in many ways, the libertarian insurgency within the GOP started by Ron Paul. The LP is not organized enough. It's at some levels, the party leadership has been, and they'll piss and moan to me about this, I don't give a shit, become a controlled opposition. Joanne, what do you mean by daily brief medicine? Meaning he's getting his daily briefs and believing the shit that they're giving him? If so, then we're screwed, because he's now no longer listening to his instincts. Oh, sure, put Tom Woods in charge of the LP and it becomes something brilliant. But Tom Woods isn't going to do that, because he knows damn well that politics got us into this mess. It's not going to get us out. I don't want to talk about the LP. They're really irrelevant at this point. They make me sad. Small L libertarian here, not capital L. Tom Woods got shut down by Twitter? Really? That guy's as inoffensive as it gets. I mean, I love Tom Woods. I've been, he and I have been, email acquaintances for 15 years. Guy's freaking fantastic. He's a better communicator of these ideas than I am. I think you guys missed what Joanne was saying. He's listening now attentively to his daily briefs in a way that he hasn't before. And that what the CIA woman was saying, that he's taking his medicine by listening to his handlers now. And if so, then we're screwed. What else you guys got? We're at 46 minutes. Yes, Twitter and Facebook are absolutely shaping public opinion via the Atlantic Council. NATO and all the think tanks are doubling down on ensuring that public opinion stays within the parameters, the very narrow parameters of what they want you to talk about. Why they're threatened so hard by the NPC meme. It's why they're threatened by all of this stuff. And it's why we need to continue to organize as best we can. It's why it's important that we continue to find new people and do what we're doing. Because at the end of the day, you got to remember that if you put your faith in a man, not a movement, it'll fail. If the man fails, the whole thing fails. This is about the ideas. This is about this is about what you want. What do you want? And what are you going to do to get it? And if Trump can't get you what you want, then what are you going to do? You put all your hopes on Trump and Trump can't get it for you. Then what? What are you prepared to do next? And I'm not suggesting violence or anything along those lines. I'm saying, okay, what are you going to do? What world do you want to live in? You going to run public office? You going to jack out and pull a John Galt? You're going to try and make your community a little bit better? Because the truth of the matter is we spend all of our time talking about all these high-level political things, and don't get me wrong, I'm a purveyor of such porn. But communities and cultures are made at the local level. They're made in your homes. They're made in your communities. They're made your local bowling night or whatever it is that you do. And if you don't do any of those things, well, then you better go find something to go do it and make connections with people. Because it doesn't matter what the person on the other side of the table believes politically. Because if you can find, all you got to do is find common ground about something you care about and then go do it and go make the world a better place. That's far more important than all this other shit. Keep that in mind at all times. The NPC meme is awesome. Basically, they're turning the alt-right meme artists on 4chan have likened all of the left into a bunch of programmed NPCs, non-player characters from role-playing games, either video or otherwise. They're not real characters. They run scripts. And it's just brilliant because it reduces them to exactly who they are. It's like the whole thing has become the Monty Python skit from Life of Brian. No, you are all individuals. Yes, we are all individuals. I'm not. Yeah, that skit. That's what we're talking about. For example, Stop using commercial bank banks. Use credit unions. Sure. Check the Texas ratio on your credit union. Make sure that that your credit union is actually still solvent. It's a good idea, by the way. Cable doesn't seem to be liking the current Brexit news flow. For those of you who don't speak trader, cable is a euphemism for the British pound. No, it doesn't. Good. Because the more it doesn't like it, the more likely we're going to get a hard Brexit. And a hard Brexit means Theresa May will be out of power. The EU will be in serious trouble. And they will lose even more leverage over the Italians, which they already don't have, and signaled over the weekend that, well, no, we don't have any leverage. That's why we're going to threaten the nuclear option with you, which I talked about this afternoon. How much hysteria will there be after the Republicans win the midterms? A lot. Yeah, it'll be great. Oh no, I'm going to be looking forward to it. It's going to be terrible, but I'm going to be looking forward to it. Sorry, it's going to be Schadenfreude, and I'm going to enjoy the shit out of it. Don't even know what Designated Survivor is, Lissandy, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. We started watching season 3 of Daredevil, and we're 3 episodes in, and already both Camille and I are having to go to squint at some of the writing choices because we can't help it. So we'll see. Yeah, well, pretty much. Yeah, I think the Marvel TV shows on Netflix are going to be done by the end of season 3 for all of them. How is gold looking? It's fine. It's still basing. Same thing with crypto. It's not really doing anything tremendous. Sitting there between 1220 and 1230 while the euro tries to break down. So watch that situation carefully. What you keep wanting to watch for are days where gold goes up while the euro goes down, or gold stays flat while the euro drops. Especially if the euro drops into away from resistance zones and pulls back from resistance and starts dropping towards the next level of support down, which is what it's doing now. It's trading between $1.14 and $1.15. Support's down around $1.13.3, $1.13.5. That's what you're watching for. And if gold is able to continue to hold in the 1220, 1230 range, if not even break higher while that's happening, that's a big deal. I really like Jessica Jones, but that's me. I'm not against a good quote unquote feminist story, as long as it's about, I certainly liked the first season of Jessica Jones. Season 2 it was okay. But I don't know. There's not much on Netflix I really like. I'm The Man in the High Castle is fucking amazing, and if you have Amazon Prime, then you absolutely need to watch The Man in the High Castle. That show's really, really good. And that's one of those shows I'm not mainlining season 3. I watched the first 3 episodes, and then I'm gonna then take a week off and I'll 3 more. Then I watched the last. I'm gonna take my time. It took them 17 or 18 months to get season 3 out. I'm not gonna mainline the damn thing and then have nothing for the next 18 months. It's one of those things you like to kind of savor. So doesn't hurt that we're talking about an adaptation of one of my favorite books of all time. You guys all know I'm a huge Philip K. Dick fan, and The Man in the High Castle is one of the most brilliant pieces of speculative fiction ever written. So I have not watched Ozark, actually. How long can the Bank of Japan keep its dovish stance? We're going 10 years now. No. Will, we're going 30. The Bank of Japan's been doing QE since the 90s. Good evening, Faith Virtue. How are you? 55 minutes. I got 5, maybe 6 minutes left, guys, and then I'm going to get done. I'm tired of talking into a microphone. Yes, Game of Thrones will be here before you know it, but again, you got to remember, guys, that I don't know if I've told you guys this, recently or not, but Game of Thrones in me goes like way, way back. Like my copy of Game of Thrones, I've since given it away because I didn't like the books very much. But my original copy of Game of Thrones was one of the early, like, second printings, I think. And it was called the first book in the Song of Ice and Fire trilogy. That's how old my copy is. That's when I read it. I read it in like 1996. And I read it when we were living in 37th Avenue down in Gainesville, for Christ's sake. It was a long time ago. The house I sold before I built the house that I currently live in. And I read it, yeah, it had to be like, I think I read it well before we moved to Ohio, and then Larry moved away and to Atlanta and then came back and all this shit. So I have a copy of that book from like 1996 or 1997. I wasn't impressed with it then. I love the television show's great because it like takes 1,000 pages of soap opera and condenses it down into 10 hours of television. Not 900 pages of turgid, overwritten prose. Now, the first book isn't bad, but the second book and the third book, holy shit, sheep shit, guys. Jesus Christ. I mean, no wonder he can't finish the goddamn things. It takes him 30 pages to get somebody from one side of the room to the other. Well, yeah, I mean, the boobs don't hurt. But, I mean, come on, it's 2018. That shit's all over the internet. I mean, if I want to look at boobs, that's easy. Thank net neutrality for that, right? All right. Uh-oh. Thank you, Joanne. I got your DM, by the way. Everybody has trillions in debt. That's not the issue. Isn't the United States' debt versus anybody? The problem is debt. Global debt saturation is really the phrase you want to be thinking in terms of. There comes a point where you can't issue more debt in order to get growth, right? Because the servicing of the debt overwhelms any opportunity, overwhelms the pool of real savings. And the time everybody spends all their time servicing the debt. They have no time to make anything new. So. Oh, no, we owe it to, well, don't you understand? We owe it to ourselves. No, actually, we do. We owe it to each other. And we owe it. And the money has to, and that's the problem. The servicing portion of the debt is the problem. The size of it's just like your credit card. When you're drowning in credit card debt, is why can you not pay your credit card off faster? Because you don't make enough money to get ahead of the debt. Tom Perez basically conceded there won't be a blue wave. Wonder what their internals show. That the Democratic Party is headed for the ash bin of history. What do I think the prospects of Ukraine are? Do I think that has a chance to remain whole? Ukraine isn't whole. Crimea has already broken away and rejoined Russia, and the Donbass wants to rejoin Russia, but Putin won't accept them because he knows it would create an even bigger shit show than currently exists until the political situation in Europe changes significantly enough. Nothing is going to happen. And until Trump stops listening to the neocons and de-escalates the situation in Ukraine, I don't know. So that's what we're looking at. The Ukrainian elections are in 6 months. Once Poroshenko is thrown out, Ukraine will probably turn very hard towards the Banderists, right sector, all of that, and that's bad. And I don't think Trump will back those guys. I just don't. The Democrats are no longer they no longer represent a large portion of the United States. Their base has been split three ways. Their base was always a bad coalition in the first place, and now the dividing lines between them are irreparable, and they have nothing to offer. They haven't had anything to offer for a long, long time. Only envy, because they had the unending and unquenchable envy of Marxism. That's what they were offering, and they've run out of that. because at some point the bills have to be paid. All right, guys, we're right at the hour mark. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. It was a good crowd for a night when Trump is speaking. So, sounds good. Not one of my better streams, I don't think. So, don't expect this posted up on the blog. I was in high dudgeon to start out with this evening. So, you guys have a good time. You have a good night. We'll talk soon. Remember, for the midterm elections, we'll probably do a special stream that week at around, on that Tuesday night, around 10:30 or so, after Camille goes to bed. Otherwise, Mondays at night, Mondays at 8, Fridays at 8:30. It's the Gold Guts and Guns Hour. You guys take care. You have a great night. Keep your stick on the ice.